I can have your attention, please. We're about to begin this service for Mrs. Lucy R. Minor. I want to welcome everyone here in the sanctuary as well as the many that are viewing online. For those of you present in the sanctuary, I'll ask if you have a cell phone to please place it in the silent mode or turn it off completely. That would be appreciated. The family will be sitting Shiva immediately following the service in the social hall here at Chicago Sinai until 5 p.m. today. So that's immediately following the service. And the family has asked memorial contributions to go to the Roger Baldwin Foundation of the American Civil Liberties Union or Chicago Scholars Foundation. That information can be found in the service folder you received. And if you're viewing online, that information is on the Chicago Jewish Funerals website. At this time, I'm going to ask everyone to please rise as the family enters the sanctuary.
Death has taken our beloved Lucy Minor. Our friends grieve in their darkened world. In their silence, there is lamentation. In their tears, there is loneliness. Lost in their sorrow, may they find the presence of loving friends. For Lucy's love that united us in life and which death cannot sever, for her companionship that we shared along life's path and which continues through the tenderness of memory, for the gifts of her heart and mind that brought us joy and happiness and is now a precious remembrance. For all these and more, we give our thanks to God. In this time of grief, our Jewish tradition teaches that we listen to the voice of our sacred scriptures that brings us the ever-new message of God's nearness. It tells us of our kinship with the Creator, in light as in darkness, in joy as in sorrow, in life as in death. We'll begin by listening to the words of the 23rd Psalm. The words of the 23rd Psalm can be found on the inside of your program. Please join with me. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. She is Gone by David Hawkins. You can shed tears that she is gone, or you can smile because she has lived. You can close your eyes and pray that she will come back, or you can open your eyes and see all that she has left. Your heart can be empty because you can't see her, or you can be full of the love that you shared. You can turn your back on tomorrow and live yesterday, or you can be happy for tomorrow because of yesterday. You can remember her and only that she is gone, or you can cherish her memory and let it live on. You can cry and close your mind, be empty and turn your back, or you can do what she would want. Smile, open your eyes, love, and go on. We come to this space, to this sanctuary, many times to mark the seasons and times of our lives. So much happens in this space. Today, we find ourselves here to celebrate the life of Lucy Minor, a remarkable woman whose kindness, humor, and boundless love touched so many. Lucy was born in Peoria to her parents, Sydney and Frances, but it wasn't long before their family of three moved to Highland Park, where Lucy would spend most of her years, 1057 Lincoln Avenue to be precise. That address became the backdrop for so many memories, the place where Lucy hosted friends from Ravinia School, then Edgewood, and Highland Park High School. From a young age, Lucy was incredibly social, always surrounded by a circle of friends that seemed endless. One of Lucy's most cherished stories came from her college years. While on a work trip with her father, Sydney, and her mother, Frances, to St. Louis, they were at a dinner when the news broke that President Kennedy had been shot. Sydney had actually planned to introduce Lucy that trip to a man named Ed Minor. Ed turned to Lucy at that dinner and said, "No one should be alone tonight," and invited her for a drink. That evening, the story goes that Lucy's mother turned to Sydney at approximately 3 a.m. and asked, "How well do you know this Ed Minor?" A year later, in August 1964, Lucy and Ed were married in the backyard of 1057 Lincoln Avenue. Lucy and Ed made a life together, and their family was completed by Jennifer and Judy. The four of them loved being together so much that they traveled as a family of four, making cherished memories along the way. After a brief time in St. Louis, where Jennifer was born, and a short stint in Glencoe, where Judy arrived, they found their way back home, to 1057 Lincoln Avenue, where that became not just a house, but the center of their world. Lucy and Ed together created a home full of love, and Jennifer and Judy were the center of that love. Lucy's role as mother was something she cherished deeply. Judy will share more about that special bond in a few moments. But beyond being a devoted mother, Lucy was also an ultimate host. She had a gift for making any occasion feel special, from throwing flawless parties with her trademark style to making every guest feel welcome. Thanksgiving was always a highlight in their home. Lucy would start the cooking early in the morning or even the night before and kept it going all day long, making sure everyone's favorites were on the table. For Lucy, it wasn't just about the food. It was about the family and the friends who were gathered together. Lucy's love for children and for the arts was a defining part of who she was. She earned her degree in teaching and devoted much of her time making the arts accessible to children, especially with the Chicago public school system. Through her program Reach, Teach, Play at Ravinia, Lucy made a lasting impact. She loved visiting schools and building the relationships most. Lucy also lived a life dedicated to civil service, contributing to organizations like the ACLU Southern Poverty Law Center, Ravinia Festival, and the Writers Theater. She was a woman with a deep sense of justice and compassion. Those who spent time with Lucy would tell you she was wickedly funny, never afraid to talk to anyone, from the milkman to the president, literally. She had an irreverence about her that made her a joy to be around. She was never a gossip, never competitive, just great company. Lucy was also a matchmaker, as she was the one who, in her own way, helped Jennifer meet Joey. And Joey, well, as he said the other night, I won the mother-in-law lottery. The bond the two of you shared was special, and Lucy's love and support meant the world to you. When Henry and Victoria arrived, Lucy stepped into her favorite role, Grammy, with the same warmth and love she had given to her own children. The grandkids loved their time with Grammy, whether it was during sleepovers, especially if it was a double, playtime, or every Sunday afternoon, driving to Highland Park and spending the afternoon doing crafts, playing with Play-Doh, or as you got older, studying at the dining room table while Grammy would bring in the snacks. One particularly funny memory comes from a camping trip in the backyard at 1057 Lincoln Avenue. Victoria and Joey had set up camp and it started to rain. The rain came and went, and then it came and went again, and finally the two realized it wasn't rain at all. It was the sprinklers that had forgotten to be turned off. So in the middle of the night, they snuck back into the house, and the next morning, Grammy couldn't stop laughing at the misadventure. Conrad loved coming to visit Grammy at 1057 Lincoln Avenue, too. The house for this New York City boy was a palace, a wonderland. And Grammy, well, she was pure magic. Lucy's love for her grandchildren was limitless. She cherished her time with Henry, Victoria, and Conrad, each of them unique in their own way, and she loved each fiercely. Whether it was at 1057 Lincoln Avenue in New York or in London, Grammy was always there for her grandkids, offering a listening ear and a steady presence. When Conrad was born, Lucy flew to New York to meet her grandson, and from that moment on, the special bond never ceased. Lucy's unwavering support for her family didn't stop with her children and grandchildren. She was also incredibly fortunate to have an amazing team of caregivers who helped her during her later years. Jennifer and Judy stepped up, ensuring their mother had the best possible care and support. The wonderful team at the Belmont and her caregivers, Tess, Novum, and especially Michelle, who arrived just before COVID, all played crucial roles in making sure Lucy was well taken care of. In the last few years, Lucy's two daughters made sure that she received the care and attention she needed, and they were there for her as she was for them with love and devotion. Lucy's legacy is one of love, kindness, and laughter. She touched the lives of so many people and made the world a better place simply by being herself. She was a devoted mother, a cherished Grammy, a beloved friend, and an incredible woman who will be deeply missed but never forgotten. Her memory will continue to inspire those who knew her, and the love she shared will forever live on in all of our hearts. Now hear from Henry, who will share some words about his Grammy.
Today we say goodbye to the only child of Sydney and Frances Robinson, a daughter of Highland Park, a Wisconsin Badger, a supporter of the arts and music education. Her friends, her children, her grandchildren, Lucy Minor. Many of us have names and nicknames across our lifetimes. Still, reflecting on my grandmother, I realized one remarkable truth. Outside of the few of us fortunate enough to call her Mom or Gram, she was always known by Lucy. Nothing more and nothing less. When anyone said Lucy in any circle, you knew exactly who they were talking about. They were talking about Lucy Minor. In 1958, a 15-year-old Lucy Robinson was a new usher at Ravinia and was helping guests find their seats when she heard the trumpeter on stage and turned around. His name was Louis Armstrong. I do not share this story as a brag about my grandmother or as a grand way that illustrate the amazing details of her life. I'm sharing this story to illustrate a point. In her life, my grandmother never shared this story with me, Victoria, or Conrad. She didn't share this because that's not who she was, and for my grandmother, it was never about the experience, it was always about the people. Everyone wants to learn from their grandparents, and for me, the lesson I learned from my grandmother was people. People enrich your life. I can't think of a time when we visited my grandmother and she didn't recount a story to us about her friends, a group she had just had lunch with, or someone she had run into at a store. For my grandma, it was all about people. For the three of us who called her Gram, it was all about us. I can't think of a day in my childhood without my grandma. She was always there, every event, every party, every weekend. She had the warmest pool in the north suburbs, and trust me, that's saying something. The joy my sister and I would have running up her deep brick stairs at the front of her home every Sunday morning never got old. Even as she got older, the focus always remained on us because for my grandma, the focus was on people. That was my grandma, that was Lucy Minor.
Thank you so much, Henry, for sharing those memories with all of us about your Grammy. And now invite up Lucy's daughter, Judy, to share her remarks.
Hello, my dear Conrad, who's with us on Zoom. We miss having you here. We're sorry you're so ill that you can't make it. But you are represented in these remarks and in Henry's, and we feel you with us just the same. My sister Jennifer always said, no one walks into a room like Lucy Minor. It was true. When she entered, the energy shifted. Here was a woman, tall, powerful, sophisticated, confident, with shoulders back and eyes forward. She could be the life of the party, and she could leave that party early. She didn't care. She knew who she was and what she had. She had a whip-smart sense of humor, an artist's eye, a sense of style, and a readiness for play. She had the love and support of my dad. She had amazing parents. She had 2 daughters whom she loved fiercely, a son-in-law whom she adored beyond measure, and 3 grandchildren who were her world. I remember when holding baby Conrad, she looked up from gazing at him and said, I cannot tell you what it's like to hold the child of your child. She couldn't tell, but I could see. There was a depth of love in her eyes that even I had never seen until Henry and Victoria arrived, and that sang a lot as her daughter. My mom loved to play with us. She could draw and we would color. She taught Jen and me how to clean a kitchen, oval sponge always at the ready. She maintained a flawless home. She attended all my bedroom floor tea parties with Barbies and stuffed animals. And later, she attended every play I ever directed, no matter where it was or when it happened. That spirit of fun often expressed itself in her sense of humor. When I was little, whenever I was homesick from school, she let me lie in her bed, and when she'd come upstairs to check on me, she would stop dramatically at the door, as if stunned by the striking beauty of my puffy face, and then start to sing, "Lovely to look at, delightful to see, in heaven to know." And then she'd fluff my pillows to perfection and lay her cool, beautiful hands on my face. We used to prank each other. For example, in the early 80s, a taste sensation swept the North Shore. It was called soy vey, and the people rejoiced, for now baked fish could taste like something. Well, my mom always took advantage of sales. And one day we were in the kitchen together, and with a sly smile, she revealed a cabinet that held an arsenal of soy vey bottles. I can't remember which of us struck first, but for weeks, we silently planted those bottles. She'd find one in her medicine cabinet. I'd find one lying nestled in my bed. We never acknowledged what was going on. We simply amused one another through silent communication, not much different from the kind of knowing glances she'd send to Jen or me or my dad. She usually knew what we were thinking about, worrying about, or feeling. Jennifer often called her the vault because she was the only person we could be certain would never reveal a secret. Anything confided stayed safely locked behind impenetrable trust and loyalty. Oh, she was loyal and protective. I remember one morning the cheerleaders arrived early before school to welcome Jennifer onto the squad and asked my mom if she was home. "No, but Judy is." How I cringed in embarrassment at the time, but later I understood and was grateful. Through conflicts with friends, rounds of bullying, unrequited crushes, and inevitable heartbreaks, it was the ferocious strength of my mother who made sure my center held, that I grew stronger from those experiences, and I tried to learn by example, because as social as my mom was, as effortlessly hilarious and flawlessly appropriate and confident and engaged as she was among her multiple communities of friends, she never sought approval from anyone. After she stopped playing tennis, she took up golf, and she was great at it. Why? Because she didn't care. Golf is one of those sports where trying will get you nowhere. But my mom liked the game enough, loved the walk among the trees in the sunshine with friends, and before you knew it, she won her first golf tournament. Instead of changing at the club and getting all dressed up to attend an hours-long celebratory luncheon, she kept on her shorts and went to Neiman's. As she rode the escalator up, she passed Jennifer, who was going down. "How was the tournament?" "I won it." "Isn't there a luncheon?" "Yeah." I have so many memories of laughing with her. In addition to all those times we cooked them up as a family, she took me to see Animal House, This Is Spinal Tap, all the Mel Brooks movies, and she let me watch Saturday Night Live. I would memorize sketches or movie scenes and act them out for her, and she would watch me so delighted, laughing nearly as hard as she had when we had first seen them together. She was always a fantastic audience. One of her favorite places in the world, right up there with the Connaught in London, was Camp Ojibwa in Eagle River, Wisconsin. Looking back, I think those weeks of family camp were the best times to see my mother as a young woman, even a girl. She was so relaxed and free. She loved the communal meals, swimming and canoeing in the lake, the nonstop antics and silliness. She and I made a formidable team when playing the card game Spades, and at the pool table she proved herself a shark. My mom had a way of finding and sustaining deep connection with anyone she cared about or took an interest in, be it the pastry chef at Ojibwa or a young jazz musician from the South Side whom she met through her dedicated and passionate work with Ravinia's music in the schools. My mom went from being picture lady at my grammar school to being the driving force behind Ravinia's art education programs and scholarships. Countless children in underserved communities benefited from the enrichment of arts education thanks to my mom. She and my dad were masters at writing lyrical roasts of close friends, which they then sang at celebrations. I can still remember some of their best lines, thanks to the cleverness and metric precision. My mom was precise in her impeccable taste in design, her attention to detail, her understanding of people's needs, in the many parties she hosted, in the way she styled herself, in her loving care, and her judge of character. We used to shop for gym shoes at the Highlands Park Sports Shop, and I remembered how much she loved one of the high school boys who worked there. That he grew up to be her son-in-law was more of a dream come true than she ever could have contemplated. My mom could not have loved Joey more if she had birthed him. They had a fantastic rapport always. I remember at my sister's gorgeous wedding, my mom walked up to Joey and said, "No tradebacks." He cracked up the way he would again and again for decades. While it was easier for my mom to stay involved in Jennifer's life due to proximity, she stayed very much involved in mine as well, building her own friendships with my many friends. She'd ask about them regularly, delight in their achievements, and remember to acknowledge them whenever she next saw them. With any boyfriend of mine, she gave full investment in the relationship and then disposed of them once it ended, always encouraging me not to compromise, to live my best life, to pursue my dreams, even when she knew it meant I would not be near. I don't think I could have gone through having a baby on my own if it hadn't been for my mom. She had every confidence in me, and I knew she'd be with me 100%, and she was. She delighted with me in not only the standard milestones, but in every small discovery Conrad made. And as he grew, he basked in the magical creature called Grammy, who lived in this incredible land called Grammy's house, an oasis of love that featured giggles, dinosaur nuggets, and, for a city kid who lived in an apartment, the enchanted basement. Oh, the hours those two would spend down there together. If my mom and I ever had a tense exchange, Conrad would rush to her defense as if I were playing too roughly with his precious jewel. Losing my mom has been a slow, agonizing process. She was able to live a quality of life throughout her decline, and she was able to maintain her dignity thanks to the precious care of Tessie Lim Garcia, Novum Espina Gamalinda, and the astonishing Michelle Patico, who started caring for my mom before she was ready to be cared for, and who gently accompanied her through all the transitions, steering her away from indignities, who spoke to her only in the most patient, respectful, and loving way, and who made sure that everyone took care of my mother to the degree she deserved. The truth is, the reason my mom was able to continue to live her life to the standards that she had always maintained, well after she was able to maintain them, was because of my sister. Jennifer ran the business of my mother, her home, and all of her care like a Fortune 500 company. Jennifer made certain that every last detail in my mother's life reflected the dignity and respectful care my sister insisted she receive. For years, this was a full-time job and then some. Because of Jen's vigilance and constant involvement, even those who only knew my mom in her diminished state had a sense of how regal she was, and even how alert and exacting she could be. The rest of us, I most especially, owe the quality of my mom's final years, and even her final hours, to Jennifer's relentless oversight and care. Thank you, Jen. In the Vedic tradition, people don't say someone died. They say they dropped their body. I can't think of a more apt description of my mother's passing. Now that she is freed from that enclosure, she can resume her powerful presence in our lives through so many memories and the occasional visit. I hate to end these stories, for the finality that attends my doing so. But my mom always thought my speeches were too long. And maybe she was right. My mom taught us everything there was to know about everything that truly matters. Jen and I have had practice carrying her in our hearts over the years, but I do look forward to again finding my mom, now that I know she'll be playing too.
In the rising of the sun and its going down, we will remember Lucy Minor. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we will remember her. In the opening of buds and in the rebirth of spring, we will remember her. In the rustling of leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we will remember her. In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we will remember her. When we are weary and in need of strength, we will remember her. When we are lost and sick at heart, we will remember her. When we have joys we yearn to share, we will remember her. So long as we live, Lucy Minor too shall live, for she is now a part of us as we remember her. I invite you, if you are able, to please rise for the words of El Malei Rachamim. O God, full of compassion, thou who dwellest on high, grant perfect rest beneath the sheltering wings of thy presence, among the holy and pure who shine as the brightness of the firmament unto the soul of Lucy R. Minor, who has gone unto eternity. Lord of mercy, bring her under the cover of thy wings, and let her soul be bound up in the bond of eternal life. Be God's possession, and may her repose be peace. I invite you to join with me in the words of the Mourner's Kaddish, which you can find on the back side of your handout. Yitkadal v'yitkadash me rabba, be'alma divarach yerutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayachon v'yomechon v'chaye d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'gala v'yizman kariv v'imru, amen. Yehi shmei rabba mevarach le'olam olmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yit'alal shemed kudusha barichu, la'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechemata, ta'amiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Osei shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, Amen. Zichronah livracha. May the memory of Lucy Miner always be for a blessing.